All right, let's get right into it. Today we're tackling a really powerful and pretty challenging idea from Friedrich Nietzsche's book, The Gay Science. It's all about something he calls the loss of dignity. And trust me, it's an idea that he thinks completely reshaped our modern world.
So let's start with the question that gets right to the heart of what Nietzsche is talking about. What if that whole concept of dignity, that serious, solemn feeling we have for certain traditions, wasn't about truth at all? What if it was just a mask?
Okay, so first up, the mask of dignity. To really get what Nietzsche's on about, we have to understand what this mask was and the absolutely crucial role it played throughout most of human history.
Now, when Nietzsche talks about dignity, you got to kind of forget the usual definition. He's not talking about personal self-respect. For him, dignity was a social tool. It was like this protective shield thrown over beliefs and traditions that honestly just didn't have a logical reason behind them.
I mean, think about it, right? By calling something sacred or dignified, you're basically putting up a big do not touch sign. It puts it beyond questioning, and it definitely puts it beyond laughter. This was super useful because it allowed whole societies to rally around shared values that no one was allowed to poke holes in. And for Nietzsche, that was a necessary step in our evolution.
But of course, things change. A new force starts to enter the picture, one powerful enough to start yanking that mask right off. And that force, as we're about to see, was the rise of reason.
The main driver of this massive historical shift, according to Nietzsche, is this powerful new inner drive he calls the intellectual conscience.
So, what on earth is this intellectual conscience? Well, you can think of it as that new, nagging voice inside our collective head. It's the part of us that starts demanding proof. It's not satisfied with rituals anymore. It wants reasons. It's hungry for scientific clarity, for rational justification. And suddenly, with this new conscience, absolutely nothing is too sacred to be put under the microscope. And the result of this new way of thinking? Well, it leads to a huge shift in how we see the world. It's a journey that takes us from a world of the sacred to, well, a world of the routine.
This chart really nails the change. We move from a world run by prophets to a world run by thinkers. In the past, you performed these important actions with what Nietzsche calls fear and trembling. There was this incredible weight to it all. But now, those same actions are often met with just a shrug. They're just part of the daily routine. The solemn, heavy gravity of the past has been replaced by simple observation and science.
Now, as you can imagine, this massive change causes two totally different reactions. For a lot of people, this feels like a terrible loss. Life suddenly seems empty, shallow, almost as if truth itself packed its bags and left town. This is basically the doorway to nihilism. But for Nietzsche, this isn't a loss, it's a cleanup, a necessary one. It's about finally seeing reality for what it is, human, all too human, and realizing that those old, serious tragedies actually start to look kind of funny.
And this is where it gets really exciting. This is the payoff. Because for Nietzsche, losing all this fake, heavy gravity isn't a tragedy at all. It's the exact opposite. It is the gateway to a whole new, lighter kind of freedom.
Nietzsche just puts it so perfectly here. Once you stop needing the universe to wear this serious, solemn mask for you, you can finally see the absurdity in it all. You're liberated from the weight of history.
And this freedom is the absolute core of what he calls the gay science. And by gay, Nietzsche meant joyful, light-hearted. This is his answer to the whole crisis of meaning. It's about having a more playful, more creative relationship with reality. You see, you're trading in that artificial dignity for some real, authentic honesty, and that gives you the liberty to experiment with new values, to become noble on your own terms. Your spirit, as he would say, can finally dance.
So, what does this all mean for us today? Well, Nietzsche would argue that it gives us a brand new goal to strive for, the goal of living without masks.
Nietzsche had some pretty sharp words for people who try to hang on to that old-world seriousness in our modern age. He calls them actors. Why? Because the belief system that made that solemnity feel real has collapsed. So now they're just performing. They're putting on a show, creating what he calls a theater of the spirit, just to hold on to some old status.
And this, right here, is the heart of his argument. For the strong individual, the person he calls the free spirit, this whole historical process isn't a failure. It's not a degradation. It is a moment of supreme opportunity to create something new, something real. So in the end, the goal isn't to shop around for a new, better mask to wear. It's not about replacing one kind of dignity with another.
The ultimate goal, the real challenge, is to become strong enough, honest enough, and brave enough to live without needing any masks at all.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty personal question to think about. In a world that doesn't really require them anymore, what masks, what forms of that old false solemnity are you still wearing?